Hey, it's Jim from Jim's Holiest of Coleus. How you doing? Whew, it's summer here finally. I'm so happy. Things are just exploding. They're like children who are now men, who I can no longer control. So things are doing really well. Got the shade cloth down on my Coleus. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my multi-season garden that I put in my home over 20 years ago, and I designed this so as it matures and gardens mature, if you're into older gardening and landscape and so forth, and I'm not an expert by any means, but I knew I did have some kind of background. Beautiful gardens take time to mature. And what I planned with this garden, which I'm going to show you, is to have a large garden, a multi-season garden, which means that early spring, late spring, summer, late summer, fall, I will have different types of plants coming and going and maintaining through the season, flowering at different times. So I always have something going on in my garden, and I want to share with you this garden. So let's go and take a look at it. Okay, so I bought my property about a little over 20 years ago. I put this large, fairly large addition on the back. It was a ranch. This is basically a rectangular ranch. It was a vacation home on the Jersey Shore, and I purchased it and renovated it because it was basically stuck in 1959, paneling, shag carpeting. So anyway, I renovated, put this addition on, had an extremely large yard, which included before this addition was put on. So it was a concrete deck, a concrete patio, and just dirt, and there was very little grass back here. I since redid the driveway, put new asphalt in. This was all grass and a chain link fence. So I over time I did a pretty large renovation and addition. So anyway, one thing that was unusual when we bought this property is it had no plants in the front or back. The previous owner, it was a rental, I was told that she had taken all of the azaleas and everything. So it was so unusual. When I looked at the property, it had nothing. There was nothing, and which was actually pretty good, because like an artist, he has a clear canvas, a plain canvas, and he can basically draw upon it what he wants. So that's what I looked at. And back here I had this pretty, fairly large expanse of area that had nothing but an ugly chain link fence. I've since put up a nice vinyl fence. So I decided, hey, let's put in a multi-season garden, and I added to it over the years. I didn't get everything at once, but over time, this is really just the broad view of it, and we're going to get in closer, and I'll explain to you. And this is just a guide. You don't have to follow this exactly. You can do some research based on where you live and the type of plants, perennials, annuals, that you could put in. These are all perennials, but you can do research on which plants, which perennials bloom at which period of time, which season, early spring, fall, summer, fall, and so forth, like I'd mentioned earlier. So let's get in close, and I'll show you what I have, and maybe this can give you an idea of what you want to do. And it doesn't have to be, this is, hey, to some people who live in the South, Texas, wide open, have much larger properties than I do, probably look at this as a little vegetable garden. So, but anyway, for a quaint homeowner in New Jersey, it's fine, and it doesn't take some tending to. It does take a little tending to. So let's get in a closer look and take a look and see what we have. Okay, it's really hard to organize this. Let me kind of really go into the bigger stuff. One of the first things I did was buy this weeping cherry, which is really, it's overgrown. It needs to be trimmed. But these are beautiful cherry trees. And I'm sure if you're from New Jersey, you see these all over. And these bloom, they're very short-lived, bloom early in the spring. You get those little cherry blossoms, and they look beautiful. Different colors, lilac, white. So this is one of the first larger, more expensive plants that I put in this garden. I wanted some kind of tree. I had nothing in this yard at all. So next things I wanted to do, because pollination is probably one of your most important items when you want to have a nice garden, also for your beauty and the serenity, to attract as much wildlife, birds, hummingbirds, butterflies, pollinating insects, very important. So what I did is I put in these 2 butterfly bushes, and over the years they've gotten very, very big. I cut them. You can cut these down completely each year and they come back, or you can leave them and grow and let them grow in. I do a combination of both. When they start getting really out of hand, like this one here was much bigger a few years ago. It was actually quite extensive, and it broke. It actually split on its own weight. So I actually had to cut it down. It was down to nothing. I actually thought I lost it completely, but it's coming back. So if you do have a butterfly tree and it breaks or what have you and it looks really bad, don't rip it out of the ground. Give it some time. It will come back, like for Cynthia bushes. They just keep coming back. So these are really summer blooming plants. They haven't even developed, or they're developing their stalks. Basically their seed stalks, they're starting to develop them. Here's some left over from last season. They're similar to coleus seed stalks. They're just long, slender stalks that flower. And these are probably, it's why they call them butterfly bushes, butterfly trees. They attract monarch butterflies. When these are at their peak, I get so much monarch butterfly activity out here, and hummingbird. It's just so beautiful. I love monarch butterflies. They're the most graceful butterflies. So I have these 2. So these are really the 3 larger plants. So we have the cherry tree, which is an early spring bloom. And then we have the butterfly bushes, which are really summer blooming bushes. Okay, now over on the left side, right near my coleus greenhouse, is a combination of, these are Shasta Daisies, and here are gigantic hibiscus, flowering hibiscus, and these just spread like wildfire. I mean, I let them go. We do trim once things get settled in. We go and we trim here and there, but we pretty much, this is a pretty mature garden, and we let it go within reason. You know, we do some trimming, but these have not flowered yet. These will flower in another month or so. They'll start to flower. They're starting to bud now. I mean, there's some buds now coming in. You can see they almost look like the little lanterns, and these are huge flowers. When these flower, I'll on my next coleus video, I'll be sure to include that in the video. Shasta Daisies, these are another summer. Now today is really the first day of summer, but these are a summer blooming daisy, perennial, and these are fairly inexpensive, and you can get them anywhere, and they're perennials. These are great. They come up every year, and they do spread, and you get beautiful white daisies. You cut them, you get so many. They're just so prolific. You get so many, you can cut and put them in a vase, and you have a nice daisy collection, and they really spread. The hibiscus is really crazy. It really takes off, and these are beautiful, and you can play around with your plant food, changing the plant food. You can use different types of plant food, myrcid and so forth, that kind of thing. You can actually get a little different color in the flowers. You might get like a pink, more pink or white and so forth. You can mess around with the I don't know too much about the chemistry of it, but you can do that. I know that with some of the butterfly trees and my Rose of Sharon. So let's move on to some more. Here are 3 other perennials, and I tried to identify them. I don't remember what they were called. They were small, round little bushes, and they, as you can see, they've grown tremendously. They actually, 2 of them, you can see 2 of them kind of blended together. So I'll give you a close-up of the flower, and they're almost like a moonbeam style. They're very small, but you can see they attract bumblebees for pollination, which is excellent. But you can see they really are prolific. There's lots and lots of flowers, and these are late spring, early summer flowers. And there's that busy bumblebee. He's got plenty to eat today. He's gonna be really drunk later. Oh, he's gonna be slamming into my house. So, but as you see, I had 3 of these. You know, when I first put this together, it was so open and airy, and I can easily plan it. And I said, okay, I got these 3. So I have these 3. And again, if you just recognize this, please put a comment below. I have a plant identification app, but it's not working for some reason. So I have these 3. And again, these are just spring, late spring, early summer, or summer flowering plants. So you can really just decide what you want to put in. But these are like round, very round, and they spread out, and you can trim them as you like. Here's another. Again, I don't remember because they're so old. These were, again, small, round, summer perennials. There's 1, 2, sort of a grass, and they grow. These are like late summer. There's 3, and they grow just sparse stalks with little flowers on them. It's hard to describe. Sort of like just tall, slender stalks with little colorful flowers on them. And these again are late summer. Now they're just starting to green up now. So they're summer, fall plants. Okay, now I got some. This is the Jersey Shore. So what Jersey Shore residence is not the same without seagrass. There are so many types of seagrasses, and this is like a ribbon, a green and white ribbon seagrass, and they have the little fluffy cattails and so forth. And this is very old also. This is about 15 years old, and I cut it back occasionally, but it always comes back. My wife had put in some other perennials. This she just put in this year, and this is a spring and summer perennial, and this is one of my most exciting plants. And I had no idea that cactus can be planted in your yard and come up every year. And as you can see, they flower really beautifully. And my wife, she just put in a few little flower, like daisy type perennials. We always put some marigolds around the periphery. And there's more of the cactus. Now getting back to the cactus, I got cut off before. The cactus These were given to me from a neighbor, a friend of mine. He didn't want them anymore. And we're like, okay, it was just like a handful of cactus, 6 or 7. That's about 3 years now. And these have just grown. And these will stay, as you see, they just get larger and larger, and they flower. Beautiful, beautiful yellow flowers. And they're all summer long and in the fall. And then in the winter, what happens is they lay down and they shrink and they flatten out. And they just lay dormant. As long as you don't disturb them and walk all over them, leave them be. You don't fertilize them, nothing. Just let them go back to sleep, flatten out, and the next spring and summer it repeats all over again. And these are beautiful, beautiful additions. Something a little unusual that you may not see in everyone's garden. And lastly, which you don't see now because we're in summer, is all along here I have an abundance of daffodils and a few tulips, but mostly white and yellow daffodils that come up all along here. All in the little spaces that you don't see, not every single, but mostly in the front here. There's an abundance of daffodils and daisies. Even over here where the Shasta Daisies are, there's daffodils. And of course it's summer, so they're gone. So in the spring I have daffodils, daisies, and of course this weeping cherry tree. In the back we have sunflower, so that's the summer. So this is basically a full season, multi-season, multi-flowering garden. And you want to attract as many friendly insects, butterflies, and of course birds with the bird bath. And of course the butterfly trees, which are probably the most effective way to get butterflies and hummingbirds and so forth. So, and of course I have Rose of Sharon, which I have on the side of my deck, which is about 5 or 6, probably around 6, 7 years old. I would say around 7 years old. A friend had given it to me. He moved into a new house. He didn't want the tree. It was much smaller. And I took it, saved it. He was just going to throw it out. And I figured, let me put it right here next to my deck because I have again, when I bought the home, there was absolutely no plants at all. Trees, nothing, just wide open. So this is perfect for my deck and also my coleus. As you know, if you're following along, I have my beautiful coleus planters on either side of my deck, which are growing fabulously. They're coming along just great. So I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial story on how I built my multi-season garden from my backyard. And I hope you can use this as a guide on planting perennials that will give you beautiful colors from early spring straight through into the fall and winter. Please check, if you like this channel, please subscribe and check out my Jim's Holiest Coleus page as we get into the Jim's Holiest Coleus greenhouse. As you can see, we have plenty of coleus action going on. So if you're new to my channel, check out, I have an extensive library of videos on how to take care of coleus, from everything from harvesting seeds straight through the summer. Everything you need to know on how to grow fabulous coleus. So please join me on my Jim's Holiest Coleus YouTube channel. Thank you and have a great weekend.